Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, June 21st, 2012. I'm Darren McBreen, and the Infowars Nightly News is in the middle of a pit stop right now as we are busy revamping the radio show as well as judging the finalist for our Infowars Reporter Contest. Now, our regular scheduled programming will resume next week, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Now, the Reporter Contest is in full swing. It's really starting to heat up. We're going to post the top 10 contestants on Infowars.com. That'll be next week on Tuesday. So next Tuesday, the top 10. And then Thursday, we will announce the male and female winners. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, the Stop Dictator Obama contest is also underway as America is finally waking up to the fact that, well, the globalist puppet Barack Obama is a tyrannical dictator who has betrayed the trust of the American people, and he's trampled all over our Constitution in the process. The National Defense Authorization Act, unconstitutional wars, Obamacare, you name it. The list is long, but it won't be long until the contest is over. Phase 1 ends Monday when Alex will announce the $5,000 winner, and then Phase 2 ends on July 6th at midnight when someone will win $10,000. Now go to the top right navigation of the web page. Stop Dictator Obama is the link. Contest rules are posted there on that page. Your chance to win up to $15,000 in total. And more importantly, spread the word and wake people up to the Obama reign of terror. Basically, what you want to do is create a poster that illustrates the tyrannical imperialism of our dictator-in-chief, Barry Soetoro. I mean, Barack Obama, whoever, I don't know, we don't even know who this guy is. You know, the key here is to make a whole bunch of posters, post them in strategic locations where the most people can see them. And I tell you what, if your local news happens to talk about this, that is a big bonus indeed. If you don't have a poster, our talented graphics artist here at Infowars, well, we've made some for you. You can print these out right here. See that? I mean, how fun is that? To be able to go to work and create Obama posters with Hitler mustaches. That's awesome. So you can print these out, post them all over your neighborhood, and like I said, the contest ends July 6th at midnight. And all right, we got the videos are already coming in, so I've yet to see these, but they're already starting to post the videos of the people making the posters and posting them in their town. How many do we got? Could you scroll down a little bit? There's ours. So yeah, these are already starting to pour in, so that's very exciting. You know, since the mainstream dinosaur media refuses to acknowledge that Obama is a tyrannical dictator, you know, it's up to us to get the message out. And look at there, we're already starting to do just that. Once again, doing the mainstream media's job for them. Speaking of which, even though Infowars Nightly News is in the middle of a pit stop, obviously our Infowars correspondent Patrick Henningsen didn't get the memo because he continues to produce video reports, and we are grateful for that. His next report is an alarming wake-up call from Hartford, Connecticut, as troops on the streets are captured on video by residents who are witnessing firsthand the end of Posse Comitatus.
Yet another case of troops being deployed on the streets of the United States. Recently, a local Infowars.com reporter in Hartford, Connecticut sent us this footage during the recent Cuba Day celebrations, where it looks as if troops are being deployed on the local neighborhood streets in Hartford. It's not yet to be determined which types of troops these are, but if this is the case, it would again be a direct violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, and yet another in a long list of violations by the local and federal government for using troops against the people of the United States. Take a look for yourself.
The National Guard is out here for a gathering. Everyone's on the sidewalk. And the National Guard is out here. This is Chris Vega recording live, Hartford, Connecticut. The National Guard is out here. Wow. I'm recording it. The National Guard is out here in Hartford right now, Hartford, Connecticut. What's up, man? Let's go. Let's go. Say that. Oh. Yo, Blaze, come on, yo. We close. The National Guard. They're chasing us off the street. They're chasing with sticks, like off of the streets. They're chasing. They're walking us off the street. Hit me with that stickers on. Hit me with that stickers on. This is Chris Vega recording live. Yo, we out here. Good smoke.
I want to get hit break. You know. That's what I'm trying to get the court back out.
The greatest protection out here is the camera. The National Guard is out here right now. They didn't let us. There's so many of them right now. Run, Paul!
Have you been to InfoWarsShop.com lately? Express your inner patriot with these brand new InfoWars t-shirts. Say it loud with the InfoWars Bullhorn shirt, or educate the sheeple with the Bill of Rights shirt. Grope the public's mind with the TSA shirt. And with this shirt, you can let the dark side know of the Rebel Alliance's power. All available at InfoWarsShop.com.
Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure, and it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139.
And we are back. Thank you for joining us. The Infowars Nightly News is in the middle of a pit stop right now, but we will resume our regular scheduled broadcast next week, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Meanwhile, we have another video report from Patrick Henningsen, who managed to catch up with financial expert Max Kaiser from London, England recently. We're about to show you that report, and it will be followed by a classic Alex Jones YouTube report, and this one is titled Food as a Weapon. Again, we will return with our regular scheduled programming next week. As the struggle continues, so will the Infowars Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. Have a good night.
Infowars.com had a chance to catch up with financial expert Max Kaiser in London, where Max gives us his insights on the European financial collapse and his recent trip to Greece with Mexican billionaire Hugo Salinas Price, as well as the devastation of J.P. Morgan's balance sheet by the new Silver Liberation Army.
Well, it's great to be in London because, you know, all these global financial crimes usually go through London. It's the least regulated banking center in the world. So AIG, Lehman Brothers, MF Global, Madoff, all went through London. So this audience is key because it's right here in their neighborhood that all these crimes are taking place. So I think once we get these people in London to understand the enemy lurking within, that's a major step forward.
Here's something in the UK press. Short of cash for lunch? How about a toast sandwich? The austerity sandwich, which scientists have acclaimed as the cheapest lunch in Britain, consists of 2 slices of bread surrounding a filling of another slice of bread.
For the Queen's Diamond Jubilee here in London, it's a spectacular event. It's great for the kids.
We're very fortunate to be here during the Queen's Jubilee. Very exciting. And of course everyone's going branding crazy. Did we just pick this up in Manchester? There might be some available. Here's the Queen, portrayed as a lizard. The lizard Queen.
If there were any significance to come out of it, the Queen would announce a debt jubilee. She would say that she's going to work to have people in Athens and people in Ireland and people in her Commonwealth who are being subjected to financial repression get some relief with a debt jubilee. It's in her purview to do so. She's got the jewels. She's got the Buckingham Palace. She's got the megaphone. Okay, do something significant.
I want to ask the question, why shouldn't there be a Queen's debt jubilee? There should be a Queen's debt jubilee because all these debts that have been put in place by these banks, you know. In Ireland, shamefully, Anglo-Irish Bank accumulated something like a, ungodly sum, €1 trillion or something like this, in unsecured debits, and they're speculating in the markets, and they went bankrupt. And the government decides to back those deposits, and now is imposing austerity measures on the people of Ireland to basically bail out Anglo-Irish Bank. One bank.
The Irish people are being scared into voting against their interests. Same thing. They have a gun pointed to their head. And the government is saying, if you don't vote for this destructive policy, then we're going to come to your house and steal your money. And the people are frightened. So they voted the way that they voted. It's a shame.
And here's a quote from none other than the Sean Fitzpatrick, who is the former CEO of Anglo-Irish, who says, quote, "The cause of our problem was global. So I can't say sorry with any kind of sincerity. I suggest you cut the sacred cows of Irish society, children, the elderly, and healthcare." After he made that statement, the government made good on a £1 billion unsecured debt. What about the word unsecured? Don't you understand? It's unsecured. The person who made that debt knew when they signed off on that debt that there was a probability that It's unconscionable. It's unreasonable. It's antisocial. It's absurd. And, you know, Iceland's faced with a similar situation of not being able to pay these debts, essentially declared a debt jubilee, and when asked, the president said, look, we don't have any money, but we'll be happy to pay you back in fish. So it got me thinking, the people of Ireland should make this Anglo-Irish debt good, paying back in butter. $1 billion or €1 billion full of butter. And of course the UK can always pay back with the Queen's energy drink. Taste the monarchy.
Do you know that up to two-thirds of the planet, that's all they earn, is 3 grams of silver a day?
That's right. Throughout history, people have worked for 1/10 of an ounce of silver as their daily wage. So imagine if you have 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 ounces of silver, or the appropriate number of grams, you've got your entire retirement package sorted. You're done.
So you're ready to retire?
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
All right, super.
On the engagement.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's the enthusiasm that we're hearing around the world. The Silver Liberation Army. You know, first talked about on Alex Jones' show in November of last year, silver was at 25. It quickly went up to 50, pulled back to the high 20s, still way, way above where we first talked about it, and heading toward $500 an ounce is the way I see the silver trading as the banks continue to collapse, as paper currencies continue to collapse.
We are actually winning against Jamie Dimon because, ladies and gentlemen, back when they took over Bear Stearns, they inherited a 3 billion ounce silver short position, a naked silver short position. They sold billions of ounces of silver that don't even exist. And over the course of the last couple of years, they've been trying to trade their way out of this position, but it has exposed their balance sheet to their trillions and trillions of dollars of derivatives, of their phony derivatives, their phony accounting, and as we know, last week they just announced a just disclosed $2 billion loss. Jamie Dimon didn't see it coming. Oh my God! It must be an oversight issue. It's an egregious mistake. No, it's a predictable mistake. There are going to be more of these mistakes. Their balance sheet is woefully vulnerable. Hedge funds around the world are now attacking Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan the way they attacked Greece, the way they attacked Ireland, the way they're attacking Spain. So the hedge funds are now attacking one of their own. This is a $140 billion company market capitalization. It will go the way of Enron. It will go the way of WorldCom. It will go the way of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. It's going to the big fat goose egg on that stock price of 0. And why is this important? It's important because these guys, these terrorists, these schmatas down there on Wall Street for the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years have been effectively stealing our money.
Are you going to Greece with Hugo Salinas Price to reintroduce the 3-gram drachma?
Yes.
Silver drachma.
Yes, this man is brought this for me. It's a kilo of silver. This means that Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan's balance sheet just got destroyed by 10 times, 100 times this amount. And the answer is yes.
Cash money for silver.
Well, the new party, Syriza, is we've talked to them. We're in the process of communicating with them because Hugo Salinas Price, who is on my show, he's a billionaire, lives in Mexico. He's been pushing for a silver reserve standard in Mexico. He wants to bring this message to Greece, and we're going to fly down on his jet, hopefully next week or so, speak with this new political party about this campaign to introduce a silver drachma into the Greek economy as a way to solve their problems and a way to get rid of the scourge of banking predators. That is really at the nexus of why that country is suffering.
What the good news is that the campaign to crash JP Morgan and buy silver has put me in touch with people like Hugo Salinas Price, who has another idea involving silver It's a global idea. It's a way that's very important for the people in Greece to understand now, because this is something that can be embraced now, and it's an idea whose time has come. My ideas are the ideas of a rebel, but Hugo's ideas are the ideas of a true revolutionary.
Why are you in Greece a week before the election? Do you have something to propose
I do
to the
have
government
something to propose.
that could be a solution?
Probably too late, but I do have something.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
If this election does not listen because of lack of time to what I have to say, maybe there will be a next election. And that is that Greece can have the best money in the world, better than the euro, by using parallel. I would suppose that Greece has to go back to the drachma, paper. But along with the paper drachma, for getting the economy to move again, I suggest a silver coin with a quoted monetary value, which can only rise. It will float with the value of silver going up. So people will save, and that will protect the savings of the Greek people and give them confidence to go forward in this, in the creation of a new prosperous Greece.
What I've been saying is that the people themselves need to take action. And since I saw you a year ago, we have many people around the world buying silver, because the banks are vulnerable. Not only Goldman Sachs, but JP Morgan is another very vulnerable bank. It's another one of what I call the banking terrorists. And thanks to the people in Greece and around the world, JP Morgan has just announced a massive loss. So this is working. If the government won't take on the banks, the people must take on the banks. And this campaign of buying silver is working. The banks are crumbling, and it's working.
But there is good news. I bring good news. Death penalty for bankers. And this is part of this global catastrophe that we are witnessing, where the central bankers are imposing this absurd policy of what they call quantitative easing, what a lot of people rightfully call financial repression. And this is where the central banks, by buying back the bonds that they just sold, they are buying back the gilts that they just sold, they buy them back in the open market. They are attempting to keep interest rates cheap, keep that 10-year rate cheap. They're buying back what they just sold. It's basically there's like dogs eating their own vomit. And they're doing this as a stated policy. And they keep interest rates down there close to 0%. I think the Bank of England just either cut or is about to cut from half a point down to a quarter of a point. That is an artificially cheap rate that does not help the economy whatsoever, because it doesn't help in the creation of capital. People want capital is attracted to higher interest rates. Savings are attracted to higher interest rates. That's where capital goes. And you can't have capitalism without capital. And you can't have capital without savings. And you can't have savings without a reasonably high rate to attract savings. Their entire ideology, their entire economic outlook is flawed. And it's an ideology that comes from the collusion of the city and the Bank of England and this government to oppress you all and me financially. And it's erupting in places like Athens and Dublin and Cairo and Tunis in this global insurrection against this banker occupation. There is a global revolution afoot, and rightfully so, because we're being occupied by financial terrorists at the top, being enabled by this government and the U.S. government and the European government and the people who run Greece, who are not even in the government. They're just technocrats that were parachuted in from Goldman Sachs. That's private equity. That's Wall Street. That's a financial holocaust. These people are no better than the people of the last holocaust.
Yes.
The fact that they're not being brought up, the in front of a financial war tribunal for financial Holocaust crimes against humanity is a shame. It is out there.
My friends, the information that you are about to witness from all of my years of research is the most important. It's been hidden in plain view the entire time. This is the ultimate secret, and it's about to be exposed. I have hundreds of government documents, textbooks, white papers, where for over 80 years, the elite of the Western world have talked about adulterating food and water to sicken and sterilize the population for the purpose of eugenics. It's all covered in the book Eco Science, written by the White House science czar John P. Holdren, where they talk about a planetary police state to carry out the forced sterilization. They also talk about covert systems in the water and food to sterilize the population. Now, this was written decades ago, before he was White House science czar. Now, suddenly, the stuff in this book is all over the news. They're selling it to the public as if it's a good thing. You see here before you what an average person would buy when they went shopping at the store. Not everything here is bad for you, but much of it has compounds and artificial chemicals that have been added that are extremely toxic and bad for your health, and they have known this the entire time, and they have approved them for use. Let's start with aspartame. You cannot go to the grocery store now and buy any type of even regular sugar gum that hasn't had aspartame added to it. In the 1970s, Searle tried to get it approved, and they couldn't. It took them 3 separate times because in their own studies with monkeys, large portions of them that were fed it died and contracted cancer. Now we have mainstream news articles, and the EU has done a major study finding lower birth weights, early birth, and yes, miscarriages from women that drink aspartame-laden soft drinks like Coke Zero. What is aspartame? It is the fecal matter of the E. coli bacteria. They took it and genetically engineered it. They can feed it toxic waste, and then it defecates aspartame. And it has so many bad health effects, it's just unspeakable. This is being done by design. It's also very, very addictive. But let's just go ahead and move away from aspartame and talk about McDonald's and chicken McNuggets. Now, I remember a decade ago or so reading health advisories claiming that a form of plastic that's used in silly putty, basically a type of silicone, was in the chicken McNuggets, but also in many other TV dinners and other foods. It is illegal in every other nation in the world to add these chemicals to the food, but it's not in the United States. The big secret is all of this was done by design by the FDA. Look at all the drugs they've approved, and then it comes out later that they knowingly approve them when these drugs are causing heart attacks and cancer. In the Nuremberg trials, it came out that the Nazis were adding sodium fluoride to the water supply in the labor camps and death camps to make the population more docile and controllable. There had been hundreds of university studies before Hitler even came to power. This is a form of forced medication They admit that 1 part per million of sodium fluoride more than doubles the chance of bone cancer in boys and men. As the public became educated in the last few decades, the government and industry's response was to not just put it in water, but to start adding it to thousands of products like children's water that's mixed with their formula or with their cereal. They started adding as much as 900 parts per million in things like powdered eggs. It causes reductions in IQ. It increases sterility or lack of fertility. And it's being added to so many of the daily staples that we consume. We'll get back to food additives in a moment. But first, I wanted to look at genetically modified organisms. Did you know for many years the American people have been eating cloned beef and pork, and now they're expanding out into other forms of meat? Let's look at salmon first. Major university studies conclusively have proven that the type of genetically modified salmon that is actually a cross species, they've mixed other animal genes in with it, that when this fish is introduced with wild natural salmon, within 40 generations, all the natural salmon are extinct. And the FDA approved this. And they're going to allow it to be released into the wild that isn't even a salmon. It is a cross-species chimera. It is a mixture like something out of the island of Dr. Moreau, something out of a nightmare. More than 85% of the corn now consumed in the United States, and it's also starting to trend that way in Europe and Canada, is genetically engineered. It grows its own pesticide within the corn kernels so that insects won't eat it. If the insects can't eat this and live, what do you think is going to happen when lab rats or humans eat it? We have literally hundreds of studies showing that not just Monsanto's, but other major GMO companies' corn, and that's the majority of corn we're now eating today in the United States, has been linked to organ failure in lab animals. The studies also show massive increases in sterility in rats and guinea pigs that are fed not just GMO corn, but GMO cotton seeds. Studies in India, Germany, and the United States have conclusively shown that when they feed the cotton seeds left over from the cotton crop from these genetically modified varieties, that the cows are having miscarriages, they are having low birth weights, or in many cases, they're simply dying. And what is in most processed foods? Genetically modified cottonseed oil. Major studies are also showing that genetically engineered crops are killing honeybees and monarch butterflies. But they don't stop there. Now they claim they're coming out with a genetically engineered mosquito that's malaria-proof that they're going to release into the open biosphere. The very genetic code of the planet is being butchered in a hostile corporate takeover. Many years ago, an executive from Monsanto was quoted in National Geographic as saying that that is their program, that they want to basically have their crops and their organisms take over the entire biosphere of this planet. And the major genetic engineer companies have focused mainly on 8 major food crops. Now they're expanding out into hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other plants, literally changing the genetic code of the planet. This is a genetic dictatorship. This is genetic vandalism. And that's why the Rockefellers, the United Nations, and others have built these giant armored seed vaults all over the world, not just at the Arctic Circle. And they admit they're doing it in case all of this gets out of hand, that they'll have a type of Noah's Ark. So all these fake environmental groups, they never complain about this. They never talk about true environmental degradation. They want to put a tax on carbon dioxide that humans exhale, that plants respirate from and carry out photosynthesis with, as a way to shut down industrial society and control every facet of our lives. That's the big secret. This is a population reduction program. It is an epidemic. The sperm count has dropped in the Western world exponentially. Even the government has been predicting within another generation almost everyone is going to be sterile. This is the globalist religion. This is their philosophy. They want the planet for themselves. The UN has said that their stated plan is an 80% population reduction. You've heard Ted Turner call us useless eaters and feeders and say that 80% of us need to be killed. You've heard Prince Philip say he wants to come back as a virus to kill the majority of the world population. Dr. Eric Pianka, Peter Singer, it's all over the news where they tell us that we should only have one child because more than one is bad for the environment and that the recession is good for lowering our carbon footprint. This is the big secret. We live in a scientific dictatorship, and the United States and England are the epicenter of this, and it's expanding worldwide. Remember all the secret testing, all the secret sterilization that went on in the United States and Europe. Remember what Hitler did. He learned all of that from the eugenicist and the Rockefeller family in the United States. This is a culture of death being pushed on you and your family. And even if you think the world is overpopulated, you need to understand that you're being targeted by this as well. Targeted by design. Recombinant bovine growth hormone in your milk, making 8-year-old girls go into puberty when they should be going into puberty at 12 or 13. Silicone in chicken McNuggets and hundreds of other processed foods. Aspartame, that is the feces of genetically engineered bacteria that has incredible health problems that have been proven. Think for yourself. It goes on and on. ABC News, this goes back 4 years ago. Viral meat spray, advancing food safety. They spray a live virus on the meat to supposedly kill the bacteria. This is a live vaccine they spray on most of the meat you're consuming that you're buying from the store. It gets even worse. The petroleum distillates, or toxic waste that's left over from petroleum refineries that refine oil into gasoline, they take these tens of millions of pounds of toxic waste that's left over, the fluoride, the mercury, the lead, and they dump it on crops as supposed fertilizer. And what do crops like tomatoes and corn and potatoes do? They pull in all of those toxins out of the ground. In fact, scientists for many years have used plants to actually detoxify areas that have been contaminated. And those plants are pulling all of this up, and then you are eating it. That's why the Washington Post reported in January of 2008 that a major study found that nearly a third of the 55 popular brand name foods and beverage products were filled with mercury. Despite the fact that the people of Europe for over 20 years have fought off all the genetically modified wheat and corn and other crops being planted in their nation, now the EU is buckled and is accepting it. The United States is literally a testing ground for all of this. It's just automatically approved. And the people that work for these corporations, they're compartmentalized. They don't know what's going on. The people that work at these stores, they have no idea what's happening. This is affecting all of us. This is hurting everyone. Many different forms of cancer are growing by thousands of percentage points. Diabetes, all these different diseases. And in major studies, it's all been linked to the toxic additives that are in our food, our water. And I haven't even had time to get into MSG. I mean, I've interviewed brain surgeons, neurologists, scientists. I mean, it just devastates the brain. It's an excitotoxin. It destroys the liver. And it is in tens of thousands of products. We can say no. We can stand up. But if you've got a neighbor giving fluoride water to their baby, please go over and warn them. If you got a neighbor that's sitting there eating MSG-filled chips, one after the other, warn them. You've got a responsibility. If you know people that are feeding processed foods filled with GMO, warn them. And for God's sakes, don't give it to your own children. If you want to kill yourself, that's your own business. But don't hurt your children. Don't do this, ladies and gentlemen. In closing, I want to talk about some positive things. Just 15 years ago or so, you couldn't find organic food anywhere on store shelves. And now, about half of what you see is organic. Just a few years ago, all the milk had the growth hormone in it. Now it's hard to find milk that has the growth hormone in it because the consumers have spoken and said no. A few years ago, you couldn't find toothpaste that didn't have sodium fluoride in it. Now Tom's of Maine is starting to take over the aisle space and displace the other mainline toothpaste makers, where it says on the back, if you swallow this, call poison control immediately. Even Colgate is now putting out fluoride-free toothpaste. People are demanding that they not be poisoned, and they're finding out about what's going on. And so industry is starting to respond and at least give people who want a choice an option to not be forcibly medicated through the food and the water. You know cigarettes are bad for you, but just 20 years ago, the cigarette makers were getting up before Congress and saying it was a conspiracy theory that it was killing people. And then later it came out in their internal documents, they knew it was deadly. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen the studies. Much of what they're putting in our food and water is far worse than even cigarettes, as bad as they are, one of the biggest killers in this country. This is a covert, soft kill operation. We'll put a lot of links beneath this video so you can check out the facts for yourself. And I'm just begging you to do your own research and find out that one of the most dangerous places in the world is your grocery store and the tap water in your house.
Is in the middle of a pit stop. Obviously, our Infowars correspondent Patrick Henningsen didn't get the memo because he continues to produce video reports, and we are grateful for that. His next report is an alarming wake-up call from Hartford, Connecticut, as troops on the streets are captured on video by residents who are witnessing firsthand the end of Posse Comitatus.
Yet another case of troops being deployed on the streets of the United States. Recently, a local Infowars.com reporter in Hartford, Connecticut sent us this footage during the recent Cuba Day celebrations, where it looks as if troops are being deployed on the local neighborhoods.
Well, we've made some for you. You can print these out right here. See that? I mean, how fun is that? To be able to go to work and create Obama posters with Hitler mustaches. That's awesome. So you can print these out, post them all over your neighborhood, and like I said, the contest ends July 6th at midnight. And all right, we got the videos are already coming in, so I've yet to see these, but they're already starting to post the videos of the people making the posters and posting them in their town. How many do we got? Could you scroll down a little bit? There's ours. So yeah, these are already starting to pour in, so that's very exciting. You know, since the mainstream dinosaur media refuses to acknowledge that Obama is a tyrannical dictator, you know, it's up to us to get the message out. And look at there, we're already starting to do just that. Once again, doing the mainstream media's job for them. Speaking of which, even though Infowars Nightly neutral time, now the reporter contest is in full swing. It's really starting to heat up. We're going to post the top 10 contestants on Infowars.com. That'll be next week on Tuesday. So next Tuesday, the top 10. And then Thursday, we will announce the male and female winners. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, the Stop Dictator Obama contest is also underway as America is finally waking up to the fact that, well, the globalist puppet Barack Obama is a tyrannical dictator who has betrayed the trust of the American people, and he's trampled all over our Constitution in the process. The National Defense Authorization Act, unconstitutional wars, Obamacare, you name it. The list is long, but it won't be long until the contest is over. Phase 1 ends Monday when Alex will announce the $5,000 winner, and then Phase 2 ends on July 6th at midnight when someone will win $10,000. Now go to the top right navigation of the web page. Stop Dictator Obama is the link. Contest rules are posted there on that page. Your chance to win up to $15,000 in total. And more importantly, spread the word and wake people up to the Obama reign of terror. Basically, what you want to do is create a poster that illustrates the tyrannical imperialism of our dictator-in-chief, Barry Soetoro. I mean, Barack Obama, whoever, I don't know, we don't even know who this guy is. You know, the key here is to make a whole bunch of posters, post them in strategic locations where the most people can see them. And I tell you what, if your local news happens to talk about this, that is a big bonus indeed. If you don't have a poster, our talented graphics artist here at Infowars. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, June 21st, 2012. I'm Darren McBreen, and the Infowars Nightly News is in the middle of a pit stop right now as we are busy revamping the radio show as well as judging the finalist for our Infowars Reporter contest. Now, our regular scheduled programming will resume next week, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Central.